So first of all, Jim, which is the first movie? Second of all,
I was
Chris
gonna
already
say,
did
Chris, thank you,
it.
because you guys think I
This is
pick
staying
you,
up
you
for the
guys think
entire episode.
you guys think I choose like horrible depressing.
Okay, we're
These
going.
are the
Are
two
we going?
most
Are we going
depressing movies we've ever watched on this
I
entire
pretty
fucking
much. I'm
thing.
gonna agree. Jim, are we going chronological?
We're going chronological.
Okay,
So
thank you.
Rossellini
Oh my
first.
God. Oh, it was,
Yeah, someone in the chat goes, boy, it's really creepy the way that guy talks to the little kid. And I'm thinking, just wait.
Yeah, that was
Right,
well.
yeah.
The way he was touching his face, that was me, because I was like, I
Just
don't
wait.
like that.
Yeah.
I
And the funny
actually
thing
the ending of the movie was less disturbing to me than that guy touching that kid's face. To be honest with you,
Wikipedia doesn't.
I don't. First of all,
he was like caressing him all
it
the
is
time.
explicitly.
Literally.
It is
Yeah, like-
explicitly implied
Right.
that that is what's going on.
Yes.
Well, because then the other
And-
head guy's like, "Come on up to the top level." You're like, "Oh God, no,
Yeah,
no."
Well, and then when he goes and tells him
His landlord.
then when he goes and tells him he killed his dad,
Yeah. He's
He's
like, I don't
just
want
like-
anything to do with you.
but he doesn't, because he's caressing him and
Yeah, he's
holding him for a large portion of that scene.
Oh.
And it also ends up with the child face down in his lap.
I know.
Yes.
It was awful. I
Yeah.
don't know how they made this film. Exactly.
No one was
Well,
paying
because-
So
attention.
they made it in 47.
I know,
in
but
Berlin.
Jesus Christ.
And Rossellini is famously, I mean, neorealism is his movement.
That's the
and
thing. It says a
he-
new real.
I mean, a lot of it feels like a documentary when the boy's just walking around, right? I mean,
Yes.
that was his
Yeah.
style.
Right.
When it was feeling like a documentary, I was like totally in, like, whoa, this is like some weird comment. Like I'm thinking of that movie Jim and I have seen called Hope and Glory meets like, I don't know. You know, I was thinking a little bit about that Soderbergh movie that they made that no one liked called The Good German, which was like super contrasty black and white with those old cameras, but it was basically, it all looked like this.
Mhm.
Like there's an interesting angle here, which is
Well, what was the movie?
post-war Germany, and
What was
like
the movie we watched?
I will say-
a
Open
woman
Glory,
in
right?
a woman in Berlin.
Yeah.
Yeah, woman.
No,
in Berlin.
I will say this is the first movie
Another Jim pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, first of all,
Also one of our most
right off
popular
the top, I wanted to say, haven't they run out of war movies? But apparently they haven't, Jim. I thought you went through all of them, but there's just
No.
more.
it's like whack-a-mole.
But I will say, this
Movie
is
has
like,
its moments.
this is one of the first sort of, we're with Germans right after the war in
Right after the war.
their country. How fucking horrible and depressed. And I was like, oh, that was interesting to me, because I haven't seen that a lot in film.
Right.
And definitely not done in this way, where Rossellini, who really is, you know, someone who's like, I'm doing something different than anyone else. So
Right.
that was really cool.
It's just yes, it gets really creepy, weird a lot.
Yeah.
And then I mean,
And then
yeah,
it's just
the ending.
depressing as all fucking
I think
shit.
the family
But
dynamic.
I mean,
without
the thing with
the
the
weird,
kid
weird touchy
killing
guy,
his
the family
dad
dynamic was
is
really bizarre. It's like,
intense.
It's not just that the
Well,
kid jumps out of the window; is the camera follows him all the way to the street.
yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
And-
I kept
And
wondering,
then
like, where is
follows
this
that
going?
woman up to finding him.
Right.
He's walking around. I'm like, this is not good.
yeah.
What's gonna happen here?
Also focused on the father, who was like this. It was an invalid, but he's complained nonstop the entire time.
Yeah, he was.
Mhm.
The thing is, that was leading to something. He just was like kind of pushing the dynamic of like, if these
If
poor
I-
guys. How many families were in one little apartment? Like three or
No, there was like at least.
oh my
five.
god!
Well, let's talk a little bit about. Let's talk a little about
There's
emo war criminal.
Oh my
Well,
god!
let's talk about. Well, I almost made a background that just said Karl Heinz,
Yeah.
Karl Heinz,
Karl
Karl Heinz, like a million times up and down, because everybody called him Karl Heinz and like
Right.
1,000 times, and I was just like, what the fuck is going on?
The thing about the older brother is that he's like afraid to go and turn himself into the police, and when he does, they're just like, okay, yeah, go on.
Whatever. Yeah, enough
Yeah.
time had
Whatever.
passed.
Well, 'cause
You
he's-
don't have time for this shit.
They were all fucking SS soldiers, and they
Well,
were
yeah.
ashamed. And he's got cool hair, though. I'll give him that.
It's every singer and every
The
fucking
one
punk
cool
band
hair in the
2002.
movie.
Yeah.
It was like an overgrown haircut too, the tight in the back
Yeah.
and long in the top. You know, it's like that's the thing. But yeah, it's just
The locations were really.
authentic.
I could coast
Great
along
set
on the.
design.
I could coast along on the locations and the general plot line a great deal. It was just Yeah.
And you can't complain that it was
this
too
is
long.
No,
No.
Mercifully, it was an hour and 20 minutes.
what a warm and
12
fuzzy
minutes.
film, Jim.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, and I also both of these I never heard of either one of them.
I heard of Fires in the Plane before.
No.
Well, both of these have to deal with and maybe this was intentional, but essentially like starvation. I mean, essentially people needing food and not having enough to
it's
eat
like
and not
it's
having
like
enough
the
means.
bottom of the
not,
bottom of Maslow's pyramid, man. It's like survival. Both these films.
Yeah, like
It was a little more civilized in this one because it was like there was a housing authority and there was like there was ways to help.
There's a
people
government and
there's some government. It was just fucked up.
Oh, I'm also thinking now about the fucking horrible Empire of the Sun movie, which is a little kid running around trying to like negotiate his way surrounded by grown-ups, right?
Which is happening at the same time, except in China.
That's like a Disney film compared to this.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
but
John Malkovich.
this movie, the stuff we're all reacting to, which is the really creepy pedo shit, like, was it necessary?
No.
Well, a question. Do you think that people
Did it probably happen?
Probably. Actually, saw.
Oh, I assumed he
what's
did,
happening?
and he knew what was going on. The kid,
Because I read the Wikipedia entry for this thing, and they don't mention it at all. They simply say that the former teacher was a Nazi.
Well, I had to. The former teacher is still a Nazi and trying to spread
he's still a
propaganda.
Nazi.
Yes,
still a Nazi,
that's what hasn't played the
I've
record.
got a record.
Yeah. And it's of Hitler trying to
rally
the troops.
Sell this to some Canadians. Sell this to some Americans
or British guys.
British guys,
I figured over to America and then eventually becomes our political system.
But what's more corrosive, him being a Nazi or him being a terrorist? That's the question.
They're both fucking evil, dude.
Okay.
Like, but I figured he was. I guess did they actually?
I have 6 of one and half a dozen of the other in these hands.
Well said. Yeah, exactly.
Do they?
Which one?
But I figured they did molest the kid because when he comes back, the guy's very cold to him, sort of at like the second time.
Well,
before he even says I'm gonna kill my dad, they got that new boy. Right. And
he's got the new one.
Oh, they moved on. Yeah.
They've moved on.
Or he hadn't done it yet, but he was planning to.
Yeah. Or they're grooming him, as they say, grooming him.
Yeah. They were grooming him.
But that was awful. Also, the decision to kill his father, my God. It's like.
I know. He just sort of does it on the spur of a moment.
I was going to ask you, did I miss
No, that was premeditated, obviously.
Yeah. It was very premeditated.
What
everyone tells him that his father would be better off dead.
That's the only thing.
It's a chorus.
I didn't miss anything that was
including his father, who says, "I would have killed myself, but I don't have the courage to do it."
Right?
Yeah, I don't. It seems shocking, but given this child's existence, what he's dealing with, roaming around in that essentially rubble, day in and day out, with these kids that are younger than him that don't want to play with him, kids that are older than him that he's scared of.
Yeah.
I mean,
they've got him going around selling shit in the black market. It's like,
and they barely have any food. I mean, Jesus.
Oh, he got screwed to the
that's Carl. That's Karl Heinz's one good line is where he's like, "Do you want him to end up as corrupted as he's about to be?"
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, he has that sell that scale that's in the house, and he got screwed by it. Remember that? Yeah. It's like that sucks.
Because rough existence here.
Robichaud gets very mad at him because he only brings the 2 tins of meat, and then he's like, "You stole all my money," and it's like, and it's like you're stealing electricity, and you got the power turned off here.
And that one guy essentially stole the scale. He's like, "Here's some give me the scale. I'm not giving it back. Here's some canned meat.
Here's some spam, basically." Yes. But, that sucked.
But again, like all that's like. I go back. Was the pedo stuff necessary? Because there's enough here. There's plenty of material here to hang an hour and 12-minute movie on.
Right.
But I would argue that plot lines are plot lines in films based on the filmmakers and the writers. I mean, is anything necessary?
We're not reading any. We're not. Scott, you claim the wiki on this makes no mention of it.
Not really. No.
It does. I mean, it does actually make a mention of it.
If you're painting post-war Germans, immediate post-war Germans here, as somewhat sympathetic in certain lights, right? Certain characters. You might also have characters that are like, no, they're 100% evil because we're going to go even further and make them pedophile, like these particular
that's the next movie.
Yeah. Also, going looking at this as a genre at the time, the Pasolini's Bicycle Thief, right? That came a couple years before, and that was grim. It was like guy lost his bicycle, had to go through the Italian,
but not like dark like this.
But this is like
oddly sweet.
It felt like I felt like we're kind of topping the Bicycle Thief with this. Like they're trying to make the neo-realist genre a little more outrageous with this. It's good because that does happen. It's like, but there is a certain thing where genres get kind of like everyone tries to top each other. Boom, boom, boom. Right. This one's pretty like,
and this one's after Open City too.
Yes,
that was the only other Rossellini I'd ever seen was Open City.
Yeah.
So, no, they shot it while the Germans were retreating.
There's another one between it.
Right.
Yeah.
What is it? It's
called
it's
sort of like a trilogy, I think.
Pisana or something like that.
Oh, Paisan.
Yeah.
I think they put all these in one box. Criterion's got all three of them in one Blu-ray.
That's great. This isn't his first film, is it?
This is the third one.
No, this is the third of the trilogy. This is the third in this trilogy.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Rome, Open City, Paisana, and then this.
I had only seen Rome, Open City in college, in film school.
Yeah. Never saw Paisano. Yeah.
But, this is my first.
This was rough. All right. Well,
I think the rest of them are like this. Nah, I'm good.
All right, we should go to cards at this point.
No, Rome, Open City is not as depressing as this at all.
I'd like to have a minute.
It's very similarly. Visually, it's similar though.
A post-quarter.
I really didn't like this movie, and that's because I don't think it does a good enough job at establishing empathy for any of the characters. So mostly what I'm doing when I'm watching this is I'm watching a series of terrible things happen on screen, and my response to all of them is I don't care. And that's just having clinical depression. Like this movie is just a representation of what being depressed is, and it was just like, oh cool, if I don't take my medication I can also have this feeling. Like it loses something somewhere, and I don't know if that's in it being a movie directed by an Italian, mostly shot in Italy, except for the external scenes, which are shot in Berlin. I don't know if that's in the writing or the casting of non-actors through it or what, but there's just something here that misses very hard.
So, and let me interrupt you a little bit. You didn't find a sympathetic gap between the kids, Karl Heinz, right?
No, Karl Heinz
the older
is
brother.
The older brother. His name is Edmund. His name is
Edmund, I think.
Edmund is, and yourself. You didn't feel a pull between his character and you at all?
No, the only character I sympathized with was the father.
Well, the thing is, that's bizarre because I'm sorry. I'm not putting down your perspective. It's actually perfectly logical, but the father was just as crank.
But he's not a crank.
I also sympathize with the father, but I also think the boy is sympathetic because any 12-year-old is sympathetic by nature, meaning he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know any better. He's just trying to survive with his family. He's not this evil fucking kid.
Yeah. I don't think he's evil. I absolutely don't think he's evil. What I don't think he is sympathetic. And I think that's a failure of filmmaking.
I think that film is built around the fact that he's, as a child, is sympathetic.
But I don't.
You didn't feel it.
That
if you didn't
feel that when I'm watching,
you didn't feel it. That's the bottom line.
And that's my argument against the film is that I just watched a lot of horrible shit happen, and at the end of it, I was just like, I don't really feel anything.
I thought this was a test of sympathy. I was following this kid who's trying to make his way in post-war Germany and Berlin, was everything's fucked up, right? He's doing his best. He loves his family. He wants them together. His father is not helping. At the end, he makes this fucked up decision to kill his father.
But that's because all of the other adults in his life
at the very end.
I know. It's
how much better off.
Society, that whatever's left of society at the time is telling him, kill your dad, kill your dad, kill your dad. And he does it, and the guilt consumes him. It's like I thought he was
that's the closest. That's the closest I came to sympathy.
Guilt, and just the like destitute existence. Like
the closest,
there's nothing going to happen that's going to be better.
The closest I came to sympathy for him was at the very end when he sees his father's casket being removed from the house,
right?
Yeah.
And then jumps off the building. It was like that was the moment there where I was like, oh, I finally understand what we're supposed to feel about this character, and it bums me out that I didn't feel it through the rest of the movie. And I think some of that can be the neorealist style that this whole movie is shot in.
Yes.
He's a bad actor. And the dubbing in this film is fucking terrible.
You watch it English dubbed?
No, absolutely I didn't. I'm talking about the German dubbing in this movie is fucking...
there's a scene with the emo guy and the girl.
Yeah,
it's all post up.
It's some like serious. It started like this
sound
is all
and
porno movie acting.
They did a thing where they shot.
I think that's the bad dubbing.
It's an Italian way of doing it. They got to shoot with the coffee grinder.
Right, they always shot without sound.
Yeah. So
it's like Deep Red.
It's all porno dubbing. It's all porno dubbing, and also the music fucking sucks.
Oh, the music is terrible. I will agree with that.
I know that Rossellini's brother or somebody made the movie for this. Like,
it seems to have no rhyme or reason.
When did foreign films figure out how to do scores?
Well,
because
also,
apparently
not only is the score bad
in the 50s,
but it has no rhyme or reason to where it comes in and goes out at either.
No,
it's actually not.
Is this just an Italian thing where like the director will get his brother or sister to score the film? Because Coppola did the same thing.
But I honestly think the funniest thing about the music though is that it almost seems like they didn't even sync it up. They just like had the recording and slapped it in. It comes in at the wrong time and goes out at the wrong time and comes in at the It just doesn't seem like music,
almost.
It's so funny. I was like, this is just haphazard. Like
the way it does turn into a farce at a certain point because of the music. It's just like, could you please figure out the correct place to play?
I disagree with that, but I do think the music is weird and it's bad and it comes in and out. But I'll take the other way because I think again, this is 47,
48.
Yeah.
I think
shot in 47. I think.
Yeah,
shot in 47, mostly in Rome, though.
Yeah. The interiors are all shot in Rome.
Interiors,
yeah.
But I just think that like no one at that time is making movies like this, and I also think that the characters in this is as bad as the dubbing is. These are complex characters. You have a lot of representations of different types of people and different types of personalities here, which I think are kind of awesome. In fact, talking about it more and thinking about it, I'm liking this movie even more than I did when I watched it.
I'm very conflicted about this movie.
You're right. They're complex characters. Unfortunately, the movie never makes me care about them.
I did sympathize with the boy, and also I did sympathize with the father as well.
The scene where the father is talking about how he was an officer in World War I and like what he thought about the war that he participated in, and then he's like, I couldn't say this for years, but I was hoping the Third Reich lost. Like, that's the most human part of the movie, because it's the one time you see a German in this film who's actually like, what we did was fucked up. And like, I'm not saying
I don't think it's the only one. I think Karl Heinz knows what he did was fucked up too. He just doesn't want to pay for it. He's just a coward.
Yeah, but he also didn't realize he was
I still think he feels like what he did was right. I don't necessarily think he's a Nazi as far as the overall way this movie is approaching those ideas.
I think Karl Heinz thinks he's a Nazi and they're going to throw him in jail, but actually he's just a foot soldier.
Yeah,
right.
He's definitely I took orders well and I fucked. Right. And it was the wrong orders.
He thinks he's a hero, which in some convoluted way of thinking about it, probably true. But what he actually is a person who can't face up to the fact that he fought for the wrong cause.
Yes.
Yep.
You know what? That's representation.
I agree with that.
That's pretty powerful.
But he's like a pawn. He's a peon.
Yeah.
He's a
think about the
nobody.
millions of German soldiers who actually thought the same thing. Says I was fighting the wrong side the entire time. About 3 years after this is over, and
whereas the father cops to it, actually.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Right. Yeah. And this movie, and I do think this is because it's an Italian production, doesn't ever reconcile with that in the way that, I don't know. It's 1948.
The deeper politics.
There's a lot of.
Don't forget that Italian fascists and Rossellini and World War II. I don't know how it resolves at all.
I kind of love that, actually, though, because I think that if you're too close to this material, you don't have objectivity. And if you're if you have one side, if you're, I mean, obviously everyone's against Nazis. I would hope.
Well, at least back then they were.
But still, Rossellini.
Yeah, Jim's still a question.
Jury's still out.
No, but I just mean that, like, it's like this is a weird comparison, but like that stupid movie about NWA is really terrible, and it's because Ice Cube and Dr. Dre were involved, and also the guy that directed Friday. Like, if you would have had someone who didn't know NWA make that movie, it probably would have been an awesome movie. Anyway, like, so I'm all for like Danny Boyle, does a lot of that stuff. Like, people gave him shit about making Slumdog Millionaire, and it's like, he's a good filmmaker. Yes, he's not Indian, but he knows how to make a movie, and he
nailed that film.
He nailed it. He understands the culture. He did his research. Someone should. I like sometimes like that kind of thing.
All right, that's it.
Yeah, but you go and watch. Why can't I think of the name of the film now? The Holocaust movie from last year.
Oh wow, Zone of Influence.
Zone of Interest. That is a movie that humanizes the Nazi characters to the point that you understand a different way to hate them.
So, show of hands.
I am really conflicted on this.
This is Rossellini.
It was hard to watch. It was hard to watch, but at least it was short.
No,
I think. I mean, Rossellini is not only an important filmmaker.
He is.
He's one of the most important filmmakers, and he's also giving us something that you don't see, and I appreciate that.